Titleist is the #1 ball in golf. Yes, being #1 is a number, and more players trust the Pro V1 or Pro V1X than all other golf balls combined. But being #1 is more than a number. It's a mindset. It's a relentless mission to design and manufacture the best performing golf balls in the game, so you can chase whatever your #1 is. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf.
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid, so it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 59 of the Playing from the Tips podcast, where we will bask in the post-Masters glow briefly before jumping straight into another major championship in the Chevron Championship on behalf of Golf Australia magazine. Jimmy Emanuel here, leading the bleary-eyed, coffee-fueled so-called experts as we go from Augusta to Texas with a little South Carolina, Saudi Arabia and Dominican Republic thrown in for good measure. Perhaps fresher than he has been for many post-Masters podcasts in recent times, given he decided to metaphorically kill Bambi by no longer contributing a post-Masters column. Rod Murray, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. What a week, eh?
Yeah.
What a week.
What
wasn't the most exciting finish.
Yeah,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
The introductions aren't done just
Yes. The next so-called expert has been recently harangued, harassed and hurt, but with the help of the most obvious tip since the first time the Harlem Globetrotters faced the Washington Generals, has lifted himself off the canvas. Who else but Adrian Logue?
Well, yeah, I backed Scott Scheffler and I got the win.
Someone had to.
Went way out there on a limb.
Yeah.
But you know, what the important thing is I got the W.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah.
What I came for. I didn't understand any of what you said. What was the basketball reference?
Harlem Globetrotters.
I know the Harlem Globetrotters.
So the Washington Generals are who they play against every time and they embarrassingly beat.
Yeah. No, I know nothing about that. Sorry. I just know them from the cartoon. What was the cartoon they used to be on?
It was on The Simpsons.
No, they were on Fat Albert.
It was on Fat Albert, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you
Bill
call
Cosby
it that anymore.
Fat Albert? Maybe not. This week, as mentioned, our primary focus is on more major golf, this time for the women. But of course, there are two PGA Tour events, one Signature and the Asian Tour as well. But let's quickly reflect on the 88th Masters. Rod, resume your thoughts.
I was just going to say, it wasn't the most exciting finish. It was a good finish. It was a good tournament. Lots of good names in it. I mean, who's going to beat Scotty Scheffler at the moment? That's just otherworldly, that golf. He's playing poorly and winning by 4. Not poorly, but he looks like he's not playing
It was B-game stuff for a lot of it. Yeah.
I was watching it with a bunch of people and somebody said about halfway through the day 4, they said, nobody's making any birdies.
No.
And Scheffler had just made 5 birdies in the last 7 holes through the middle.
Perhaps they meant nobody human.
But it just didn't look like he was making birdies.
No, it didn't.
It was he's just plotting it round and a lot of tap-in birdies. And
it was one of those US Open Masters.
Really
They're not my favourite, so you want to see. I mean, Ludwig, the way he was playing, should have shot 30 on the back.
I get it with him now. He's good.
Ludwig's really good.
Yeah. I think it was, you got the combination of the golf course of having been wet early in the week, so they crank the sub-air, then those winds come in that just dry it out as well. It gets firm fast. It's really hard. That back 9, I mean, 11 was playing as a par 5. It was a layup hole, except if you were Ludwig and Morikawa on the Sunday and made the mistake of hitting it in the water left. There's the one thing you can't do there, and they made that mistake.
The course is narrow now. It's just narrow. That's the truth of it. The 7th hole's ridiculous.
The
11th is narrow.
The trees on the right side of 13.
Trees on the right side of 15. The course is actually
11, sorry,
I thought
really changed.
Partly the rough seems to be much tamer now, so the ball's running into trees a lot more. I think if that might be what you're saying. Sorry, the second cut is a lot less. It's grabbing balls a lot.
The shoot off 18 is absurd.
Yeah,
that is absurd. It's narrow. I'll give you that. It's narrow, but boy, what a good test! And it was firm this week, and everybody who was in contention was a proper golfer.
Yeah, it was
they were all playing proper golf. Yep. Even Bryson. I was more impressed by Bryson this week than I was in his US Open.
Very
win.
much so.
By a long way. I thought he held his head together quite well. He wasn't petulant.
No, not just
he had those slightly unhinged, entertaining moments too, but they weren't bad.
Yeah.
They were just like when he picked up the sign, it was just like, that's ludicrous, but it's fun.
It was grinding. Everyone who was in contention this week was grinding, and sadly, Rory was the one who stood out as just not being up to that test.
Yeah,
what are we to make of that?
The Friday was so much fun. We finally saw Woods and long irons into the 15.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of, and into 13 as well, and those who had the courage. And I think it showed something. You saw a lot of players laying up because in an era where it's automatic that you go for it in 2, anything that disrupts that makes a lot of those players uncomfortable. There's PGA Tour players who might not hit a 3-wood off the deck more than twice in a year.
Yeah.
So it's a shot. I mean, they might practice it on the range, but it's very different to standing over it in the 15th fairway in round 2 at Augusta. So I thought that was really good to see. I think the last time we saw that was probably when they had the November one.
Yes.
And it played really long.
And
we saw quite a few sort of woods. And the thing is, they can play the shots. There's some brilliant shots hit in there. Tiger had a magnificent, I think it was a 5-wood in 15 there.
Yeah.
I was puzzled by Aubert actually on the 15 because I think he was 3 over for the week on 15 or something, and it might have cost him the tournament. Yeah. But his second shot shape into that green is perfect. Like he hits these big towering long irons and woods off the deck, and he's sort of
back 9 kind of got him
exactly what
over the weekend.
Well, actually, he was over par on the back, wasn't he? He was under par on the front, over par on the back.
He was playing it different way, maybe just pressures and whatever, but he was fantastic.
First one, you'd have to think he's got a fairly promising future based on what he's done so far.
Just an effortless talent.
He made that 11 was kind of where his challenge ended. That's a mistake you don't make there. Scotty Scheffler showed it. He hit it right of the green. You know, the Ben Hogan line of if you see me on the 11th green, it's because I pulled my second shot. Like, it's just, that's a simple one, but he's
hard to do it that way. For a guy like Aubert and Morikawa, you've grown up firing at flags because you've got to. If you want to win on the PGA Tour, you've got to shoot 66 on Sunday. You've got to go at all the flags. Very hard to turn that off, I reckon. That takes real discipline. In the same way it takes real discipline not to try and hit it past the long hitter you're playing with. There's a real discipline to be able to just stick to that game plan, and that comes with experience and time. Both of those guys, can't imagine either of them will ever hit it in the water left of 11 again.
No. And I think Scheffler for the week everyone knew he was good. He's obviously shown how good, but I think he's turned a lot of people who are on the fence or he might be boring into fans as well.
Oh, definitely.
With just how he played and how he spoke and everything like that.
If you like golf, you
have to like that.
Really locked in as well, just the way he keeps it even.
Yeah.
He does everything better than everybody else. Apparently he's a bad putter, but I didn't see any of that.
The putting's getting better. It looked more athletic. It looked more responsive, but he's got the Adam Scott syndrome a little bit of you hit so many greens, you hit them so close, you're going to miss them. He's not a great putter, but he's a workable putter.
He was very
he's going to be good enough to
miss anything short.
No, he missed a short one on Friday, right. But that was about it.
Lagged beautifully. And on those greens, you don't need to be the best putter. You've got to be the best iron player.
Correct.
If you can lag putt, there's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 putting on the greens at Augusta. You're not going to see people 1 putting their way to victory for the most part.
Before we go on it, Tiger, tough to watch, but there were some spots in there that were pretty impressive. And
guy can still play.
Yeah.
My goodness, he hit some shots. But the most interesting thing I thought, and you never thought you'd hear it from him, was on Sunday, he was asked to sort of sum up the week, and he said, it's a good week. He's just shot 82-77. Tiger of 5 years ago, 10 years ago, those words would not have been in his vocabulary, let alone would he have said it after that. And I think it's an indication to all of us, and we know we're watching the wind down of that career and his greatness, but there'll be flashes, but the Tiger of old is...
I think he had 2 objectives this week, was to make the cut, to get the cut streak, and to finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he achieved everything he set out to.
The first 2 days, he looked kind of like the old Tiger. That was an amazing performance on Friday. He played 23 holes. Just up at 3:45 in the morning to get ready for his 4th round. It's just...
and then the only other thing that was, of course, interesting was...
the sand greens.
The Shark showing up with his hat on that he doesn't ever wear anymore and buying a ticket and all that. That was just...
It's so transparent.
And Greg Jr. jumping in and defending him. And
the Fred Couples things. I'm glad we beat you. What was it at
the Skills Challenge?
In 2000. What? What are you... kindergarten?
The whole thing is simmering away strangely that Faldo said Phil didn't speak at the Champions Dinner really at all, and Tom Watson got up and said, isn't it nice royalty? It's all a bit of garbage. But
is it deliberate? Is it a conspiracy theory? Are they all in fact on the same side trying to conjure up interest with this nonsense. I don't believe that, but there'll be somebody out there who does.
Yeah. But Sand Greens was also interesting.
Yeah.
Our man Hazy out there covering it.
Yeah.
That was actually really interesting to watch. But
Incredible up and down to win the player. I've forgotten her name. Who won?
Lydia Hall.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most uncomfortable a professional golfer could be, couldn't it? Playing on sand greens. That's a hell of a shift from what they're used to.
Lastly, on last week, we had one top 10 and one win courtesy of Logue and Scheffler. That takes us to 55 top 10s, 8 wins, numbers that, of course, simply can't be beaten in previewing podcasts hosted by 3 men with different initials.
That's right. There you go. In Sydney.
Yeah.
Is there like a Keno prize? You know, if you pick 15 numbers in Keno, you get none.
Yeah.
If you pick 3 players in the Golf Australia tipping the week before and they all miss the cut, do you get a point for that? Is there something? You get your money back because that's what I managed.
Wow, okay. Well, let's move ahead. And now in its 3rd year of a new name and 2nd year of a new venue, it is the LPGA's turn to start its major championship season, the Chevron, where Lilia Vu will defend her maiden major title. Logue, you're on course duties. Tell us about the Jack Nicklaus signature golf course at Carlton Woods.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I think they're holding this tournament at the Jack Nicklaus signature course at the club at Carlton Woods.
Okay. Sorry.
This course is Nicklaus himself considers it among the top 18 courses he's created.
That's an interesting.
That's a number.
What I'm taking from that is that this is the 18th best
course he's
created.
Imagine the workflow that quote went through to get approved by everyone involved.
Yeah. Maybe it was in a book of like 18 great golf.
Yeah, it must. I mean,
there'll be a reason. There's got to be plausible deniability there, but I think you're right. He's saying it's about the 18th best course I've designed.
And I mean, we saw it last year. It's interesting. This course is going to be seen every year for at least, I don't know, half a dozen years until Chevron aren't sponsor anymore. And I can't remember anything from last year except for the 18th, which I thought was quite good.
Yep.
As a finishing hole, there was an actual decision for some players.
Yep.
And there's a couple of interesting trees you've got to hit it over off the tee, and there's a big pond, and there's a grandstand as a backstop at the back and everything. So it's got all the elements there for a perfect course carrying across from Mission Hills, of course. Is it a better course than Mission Hills? It's definitely a better course than Mission Hills. Yeah. So I think we've got that at least. And time will tell whether it becomes a little bit more memorable beyond that 18th hole. I do remember there was quite a good par 3 on the back 9 as well.
What a shame. Why can't they find a good venue for that? It's just it's
the best. It's just about the best course in Houston.
Yeah, but
it's like the top 1 or 2.
We all understand how it's got here, but what a shame for the Wizards.
Chevron's based in Houston.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's an impossible task to take a major that's been at one venue and try and replace it. You could replace it with a 10 times better golf course, but people will go, yeah, but we remember this and that and whatever. So,
but in 10 years, I'll say this is a fabulous venue. We enjoyed the other one, but this is a fabulous venue. I just don't think you're going to get that. No, it doesn't feel like that. It's not.
In any case, it produced a very good tournament.
It really did.
It did.
That's true.
And I'm sure we're going to get an excellent tournament again this year.
When it comes to the players, everyone is talking about Scotty Scheffler at the moment, but this week, Nelly Korda will attempt to win for the 5th straight time. Scheffler's in form. He's not even touching what Nelly's doing. It's Tiger sort of stuff from the American, who has one major to her name already and understandably is the headliner. Looking at her stats, she actually only leads the tour in one non-points or money-based thing, so like order of merit or all those sort of things. She leads in eagles, but she's 3rd in greens and regulations with 76% and 7th in putts per greens in regulation with 1.72.
So hits it off the green and then
hits it on the green and holds the putt.
No.
Like how are you supposed to beat that?
Yeah.
She missed the playoff.
Did you say putts per green in regulation?
Yeah.
So once she's on the green.
So she's hitting those.
That would be my worst stat.
She's hitting 76% of greens and then she's holing a good percentage of the time as well.
I have lots of 3-putt bogeys.
Yeah.
putts per green in regulation would be my worst.
She missed the playoff here by 1 last year as well, so likes the golf course too.
No golf course she doesn't like. She's one of those players. Put her anywhere. When she had in Adelaide on that golf course when she won the Australian Open, that was a completely different sort of golf to what you're going to see this week, and she mastered that brilliantly.
You've got to think that with the blood clot issues she had a little while ago where she missed a bunch of golf and came back and whatever, she's probably missed a bit of a window of racking up more because she's only got one major at this point. It is a major, of course, though, and she does have to eventually not win a tournament, so there's other players that we can pay attention to.
Mathematically.
At some point she has to not win one. Of course, Vu went on to win the AIG Women's Open last year. She had 4 wins on the LPGA Tour, so a big chance again.
Big question mark this year, though.
Yeah, sophomore syndrome.
Yeah.
There is, of course, Aussies that we'll cover in more depth, but Alison Corpuz also played well here last year, won a major last year.
Putting a question mark on her this year as well.
Okay. Ataya Titicum, what do you got on her?
Yeah,
she's been out injured. She has not played since, I think, November.
Yeah.
So this is kind of her first tournament back.
Celine Boutier.
Okay.
Yep. She was at fourth last year and she looks pretty good. Ronnie Yin is always worth keeping an eye on. Question mark in form and stuff like that so far. Lydia Ko back in the winner's circle this year.
No question marks.
Never a question mark for Lydia.
Leona Maguire rediscovered a bit of form, lost to Nelly in the final at the match play.
But looked outmatched.
Okay. Yeah, well, Nelly caught her.
Exactly.
But importantly this week for all of us who are fans, So-Yeon Yu bids farewell to tournament golf this week at a major. Suitable place for a 2-time major winner. Genuinely great person, player, everything, who's playing her last event. So with all that in mind, let's get our first tip. Low, given you've poo-pooed half the field.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, of course, again, and pick Nelly Korda.
Jeez.
you must have known that was coming. Just you went to me first.
That's why we went to you.
I had no
Get it out of the way.
Yeah.
It's the cowardly pick.
It is a cowardly
no
pick.
question marks.
Hell of a thing. 5 in a row. If she's a chance come Sunday afternoon, that's got to play on her mind. That's an extraordinary thing to play with. She looks up to the challenge, but
it's an exhausting run to be on, and the pressure just builds. But she's had a week off, and I think
from the minute she arrives,
going to make all the difference. The fact
from
that
the moment she arrives, every question from every person is going to be about that going for 5 in a row at a major. So she's got to be prepared for that.
Yep, but I think one of the defining things about being in this sort of form is that you're in a bubble. Like you're in the zone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you just don't. You can filter all that stuff out somehow.
Brushes off.
Like it's
one of those ones where it'd be scaring yourself how good you were hitting it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was in awe of myself. Who said that?
Greg. Rod, your tip?
All of my LPGA tips this year are prefaced by INN, if not Nelly.
Yes.
Every tip this year on the LPGAs, if not Nelly, say Young Kim.
Nice.
Super talented player. Holds the scoring record, if I'm not mistaken, on the LPGA. 30-something under par. Can make birdies in bunches. Been a bit of a dip in form the last year, but she's been good this year except on Sundays.
Yeah.
So she's not far off. If you can put together 3 good rounds, it's not going to be long before the 4th comes. So I like her chances. I really like her as a player. She's got a
genuine flusher.
Oh, just a flusher. And really good attitude. Yeah. She bounces nicely, doesn't get too upset. She's a 7 or 8 time winner, I think, on the LPGA Tour. So, look out for Say Young Kim. She's just trending in that right direction. And she'll come in with probably very little attention on her. Yep. Not much scrutiny, which is a nice way to be.
I also, of course, considered Nelly, but wanted to give the listeners value for my stuff.
I just want to give them a win.
Yeah.
So
Angel Yin. Yeah. Lost in the playoff last year. End of last year really looked like it was happening. Yep. So much talent, hits at miles, it just needs to really get there, and she's had some good results this year already. Yeah, it just feels like it's kind of her time to get
made her way into the world top 10, I think.
Yeah, she has. I think she's dropped back out a little bit in the last one.
Proper golfer, as you said. Like she's a proper golfer. She was carrying a Founders 2-iron the very first time I encountered her at the Vic Open.
Nice.
A Founders Club 2-iron. Would have been the only one on the property. Yep. I showed it to Clates. He was very impressed.
Let's move to
but before we leave, I just want to mention the hashtag for the Chevron Championship.
Yes.
Hashtag stars are bright there.
Oh, God.
What?
That's the hashtag.
What is it?
Oh, actually, no. It's stars are bright here because bright and T. Yeah. Anyway, stars are bright here. Whatever that means.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the hashtag last year, and I did a little bit of Twitter research, and literally there were half a dozen tweets, and they're all from the official account. This year we're up to about 3 tweets with that hashtag, and they're all from the official account.
Was one of those
so
3
it's just
tweets?
not catching on. So I'm a bit concerned. I want it to catch on.
Okay.
Stars, hashtag Stars Upright.
Too long. Doesn't the hashtag have to be a bit
That's
shorter?
what they're going with.
Shouldn't it
You've got to
be
support
Chevron
it.
MAGA, Brexit, that's the sort of thing you need. 4 to 6 letters.
Chevron champs.
Yeah.
I'm just
The
trying to
Chevron.
help. I'm just trying to help.
Okay. Let's get to the Australian chances. Rod, you have all details of our 9. That is right, 9 players in the field.
Absolutely. And probably realistically 4 of them are first name only players. You say the first name? Minjee, Hannah, Gabby.
Who?
Yeah.
Grace.
Grace. That's right. You know who they are. Steph, which is a good place to be. You're right, 9. So let's try and work our way through them. We'll start sort of from the top. So the 9 are Minjee, Hannah, Grace Kim, Steph Kiriakou, Sarah Kemp, Gabby Ruffles, Hiron Naveed, Robin Choi, Karis Davidson. Those last 3 are probably more unknown quantities, less likely to perhaps feature in the Sarah Kemp perhaps as well in that class. But Hannah, so she won in Singapore. Sorry about that. That was my phone dropping on. That's very unprofessional.
It was.
She won in Singapore earlier this year, but it's been pretty pedestrian apart from that. But she's one of those players. She's always a chance when she tees up at a big event especially.
100%.
She likes it. And it was the week after this tournament last year that she won. She went on to win in a playoff in LA. So she missed the cut last year, but don't put any stock.
No question marks.
Yeah, in that, it's a very small. Can you have a lowercase question mark?
No.
It's got to
You've
be.
got to hit the shift key to get the question mark up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't double it. What if you have caps lock? Yeah. Look, you never write off Hannah Green, especially in big events. You'd have to think she's more than a one major winner in her career. Yeah. So every major that comes along, she's going to be a chance to play. Minjee, well, we know how good she is. Even in the elite class, she's elite. Yep. She's in the elite of the elite. Didn't play well here last year. I think she finished tied 41st, which is sort of midfield, not great for her. And she hasn't been playing quite as well 3 times this year, best of tied 4th in China. She's Minjee. She
works so hard.
Exactly.
There's no question marks.
Maybe hasn't broken a finger like her brother.
No, that's right.
No, and maybe an interrobang.
A
interrobang.
Please
explain.
Continue.
It's question mark and exclamation mark together.
Is it?
That's called an interrobang.
How do you? Is there a special symbol for that, or you just put them together?
No, you just put them together.
Just put them together, and it's a terrible.
Yeah. Exclaim your question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a serious question.
That's right.
It's the uppercase question mark.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Replying that to Minjee.
Yeah. So look, Minjee, you can always bet on Minjee and you'll get some form of result. Hiron Naveed, I think, might be the most interesting Australian after that debut a couple of weeks ago. Well, it wasn't her debut, it was a second LPGA tournament. Yeah. She finished second, which is extraordinary. Brilliant weekend, and that always tells you something about a player, I think. She went 65, 66 on the weekend in that tournament. Not all golfers are capable of that. That's some pretty explosive sort of play. 1 round, yeah. 2 in a row, that's some good stuff. So look, it would be a surprise if she was to win, but what she will do this week is learn an enormous amount about golf at that level. I'm going to say this will be her first major. I think I'm safe to say that. I didn't check that, but I doubt she's played in a major before. So she'll be probably the one I'm most interested in watching and seeing how she plays. Grace Kim, so year so far, 6 starts, 4 cuts, made, but no top 10s. She hasn't really found it. I wonder, Jimmy, you probably have a theory on this. Can it be a downside to winning too early in your career? She surprised everybody, I think, including herself, when she won within, the first 6 weeks of joining the LPGA. She won one of their events. That can be hard to do because the expectations go up, not just externally, but internally, and that can be hard to live up to.
I spoke to Grace at the start of the year about that very topic, about did it shift everything? What did it do to everything? And she said, yeah, probably there was a little struggle of adjusting expectations that each week you're not going to win or you're not going to finish in the top 10. You're going to have a learning period. But she's a pretty well-adjusted and balanced sort of person. I think showing up at the majors last year, that got her into every major. Played decently but didn't have a real standout finish maybe. So I think that was a learning sort of a period too. So I think it's definitely an adjustment period for sure for her.
Indeed. She's got a great head on her shoulders. I was going to make the same point. I recall maybe a couple of years ago, I was co-hosting the Golf Australia podcast with Clates just for 2 weeks when the Olympics was on.
Yes.
And all the Golf Australia people, and we had Grace on the thing, and I remember she just said something, Clates asked her something, I think she'd just done well at Q School. She said, I just try to go out and make par on every hole except when I make birdie, just hit the greens and 1 or 2 putt. Clates was like, you'll do all right. Yeah. That's a good way to go about playing golf. Yeah. And the way she said it was brilliant. I think she might have still been an amateur then. I think she had been to the Q School. But anyway, look.
She's very good. She's going to work it out.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything amazingly well, but she does nothing poorly.
Well, she drives
solid.
the ball
she drives
so well. I've covered a lot of events. and I've seen her miss about 2 fairways. Does hit it a bit longer now. When she won last year, that was on the back of doing a lot of strength work over the summer, hitting it a bit further. With that has come a little bit more dispersion. So it's still figuring that out and working out how that works. And probably for the first time hitting approach shots out of the rough and figuring out how that works.
What's this stuff? What's this long grass? Why haven't they mowed this here?
Yeah.
The women's game really is moving that direction at an accelerated pace.
Yeah, Hannah did that a couple of years ago.
That's right.
She added some distance and it's made a big difference. So,
you just can't compete at the top anymore if you're not hitting at 280 yards.
Yep.
Which is what Norman used to drive in the 80s and 90s and known as one of the best in the game. So it's really sort of changed. Steph Kyriakou, we know what she's capable of. She's a bit of a Mickelson player, I think. When she's good, she's incredibly good, but she's not going to be good every week. When she's poor, she's actually not very good at all, but her good stuff. She's the sort of player who makes birdies in bunches. When she's made 5 birdies, she's not defensive. She's looking for number 6, which is, and she'll quite often get there.
A hot putter.
Yeah, if only she'd played that New South Wales Women's Open at Dubbo, who knows what her career could be now. It's the only chink I can find in the armour. Sarah Kemp, 16 years on tour now, hard to believe. That makes me old. I remember watching Sarah Kemp when she was the low amateur at the Australian Women's Open at Terry Hills the year Bari Mackay, I think, won it, possibly. I hate the term, but she is a journeyman / woman. She's never won on tour, had not had a whole lot of time, but she's made a living playing golf for the best part of 20 years. Put it this way, if she does well this week, it will be incredibly popular. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like Sarah Kemp. She's one of the genuinely nice people in the game. Gabby Ruffles, I've said it a bunch of times, she's got something special about her. She's going to show something this year. There's no reason why it can't be this week. She's got everything, but most of all, she's not intimidated by anyone or anything. And she's not afraid. She's the give me the ball, give me the chance to fail.
100%.
Yeah. Give me a chance to fail. I don't mind if I do, but if I've got a chance, then I might just do it. Robin Choi winning the Q School last year, of course, then jumped a plane straight back here to play the Sandbelt Invitational. You would have spoken to her about that.
Sure did.
That's terrific. I mean, her golf so far, she's very early in her career. I don't think realistically we'd think about her as a winner. A made cut, and again, a great learning experience for her. And Karis Davidson, the last one. When she got her card, I seem to recall at the Q School, it might have been the end of the 3rd round, she shot 5, it was the last round actually, she shot 5 over the front to fall from comfortably inside to outside getting a card or just on the number. And she managed to shoot even par on the back nine. That I expected more from her. That's a really good trait in a golfer, that ability to not just give it up. She hasn't been a terrific performer since she's been on the LPGA, though she has kept her card. So
I think learning the game and the travel side in the US, having played in Japan. Very, very different from JLPGA to LPGA. So I think that's still an adjustment period.
Yeah. Look, anyway, so
pick your best.
Yeah, for me, the top Aussie, I'm going to go with Gabby Ruffles. I mean, I know Minjee and Hannah are higher profile and better credentialed, but I think Gabby's on her way into that circle at the very top echelon. Like, she could be in the elite of the elite, like Minjee in a year or two.
Yep. Loke?
Hannah.
Nice.
She's got an energy, Hannah, hasn't she? She's just got a look about her and a feel about her when she turns up at a tournament. She's just got.
I'm also going Hannah with. One of the reasons being, normally, quite often with this event, she's come home for a week or two before she goes there. This year, she's gone and stayed in Texas, I think at Suo's place.
Okay.
There is a thought that she's looking around and what she might do with, having where she spends more of her time over there. But she's been there at Shady Oaks practicing, working on a game, playing with Sue every day, playing with Soyeon, and just working really hard in the right conditions, in the right stuff. I think that's a huge positive sign. And
that's
then
a bit of insider trading there. That's well done. Good
Thank
info.
you. Well, I also spoke to Gabby Ruffles this morning, but I got no insider trader for you there. Except for I spilled a coffee as I was starting the meeting and it was a disaster.
I always think this is a bit important. What's Gabby like off the course? I've not interviewed her before.
That meeting sort of stuff. She's good. Really, really good. Really good with her time. Knows it's part of it. A very friendly and understanding person.
Because not all players.
A lot of time for Gabby. Yeah.
Not a lot of players. Yeah. Not all players are.
No. Let's close out our tipping for this event and move on to the others. Let's get an outsider. Who does everyone like as a bit of a smoky? I'm going to give you one because you both seem like you're scrambling.
Because you never mentioned it in the pre-show.
Exactly.
No, that's why.
I'm going to go with it's debatable that outsider, but Lynn Grant.
Oh, an outsider.
She has,
It's she got a question mark now, has she?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. There you go.
Went to high school with Ludwig Ober.
Okay.
So did Maya Stark, mind you. But Lynn and Ludwig played a lot of things together. That's that, like, immeasurable bump having seen someone you know and you grew up with do well at something. All of these players this week will have seen last week and they get a bit inspired. That inspiration level for her is right there. So I'm going with Lynn Grant as a quantified outsider, given it was majority rules in here and 2 said yes.
Okay.
Throw something at me, Logue.
Logue, you go, because I'm still looking at the field.
Puntacana.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's an
2-time
outsider.
winner. I don't know if it even counts as an outsider,
Yeah.
but there you go.
We
We didn't
make-
mention it before, so
We make the rules and we don't actually run the odds on this show, so it's fine. Rod?
Here's an outsider for you. Yanni Singh.
Nice.
That's about as outside as you can get. When was the last time she
Outside
made a
you
cut?
get. Yeah.
When was the last time she broke 80?
that's off the property.
That's off the property. But that's okay.
I'm OB, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Titleist is the number 1 ball in golf. Yes, being number 1 is a number, and more players trust the Pro V1 or Pro V1X than all other golf balls combined. But being number 1 is more than a number. It's a mindset. It's a relentless mission to design and manufacture the best performing golf balls in the game, so you can chase whatever your number 1 is. Titleist, the number 1 ball in golf.
All right, let's move along. PGA Tour has always gone from the Masters to Hilton Head for the RBC Heritage, but unbelievably, it's a signature event. Basically, they're saying to all the players after the commitment of a major and the physical, mental exhaustion, let's do it all again.
I was looking at the field for this and thinking, what a field. And I was like, it's a signature event. It's like,
Yeah.
these
Why,
have all
Jimmy?
got to
What's
back
the
it up.
thinking of the signature event? that we're
RBC
going
has
to
been a huge
Yeah.
sponsor and supporter of the PGA Tour, sponsor multiple events, sponsor players. This event has been a huge part of the tour's, schedule for ever.
And it's always been at
And
this
it's always
date.
been post-Masters. So you got 2, stakeholders that have been huge supporters of your tour in an uncertain time. You've got to pay them back somehow. A lot of the guys...
It's the jacket swing.
Yeah,
of the
it's
tour.
exactly. A lot of the guys used to go down there and play anyway because it's a holiday destination. Hilton Head Island's a big holiday place. The Fitzpatrick
guys
family
who
famously
win.
would go from America to there when they were kids and
Spoilers.
whatever. But it's just got something there. So anyway.
Is it danger in that? Is it a sensible idea? I can't see the top
Whether
players
the
really
signature
wanting to
event
do
thing
that.
is a good idea is still to be questioned.
Yeah.
But anyway, for those fans of Sponsor Watch, RBC is, of course, the Royal Bank of Canada, but I interestingly saw it described on the internet as a multinational bank.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident Canada's one country.
Yep. That's a
So
You should be confident. I think that's
riddle
a
me that.
a uninational bank.
Yeah, exactly. I would have. I was like, Advance Australia weren't claiming back in the day that they were multinational. This is a jacket season. I had that down as my notes
did
too.
you? Okay.
This time, plaid number that John Candy would look good in a movie
Yeah.
in the 80s in.
Yep. Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yep. Harbour Town Golf Links host venue, Pete Dye and Jack Nicklaus collaboration. One of the more enjoyable tour stops, I think. Yep. We know the golf course, we know the holes. It's tight, but it's tight in an interesting way that tee shots are different clubs. It's
Sometimes
bunkers,
long hitters win there. Sometimes short hitters win.
alligators.
Often short hitters win.
It's got it all. It's got content. But it used to be a ball striker's place. Like if you weren't like a top 20 sort of ball striker, you didn't win. Lately it's become the really good putters who tend to win there.
Is that because all the players are better ball strikers these days?
I think that's true. I think everyone hits it further. Everyone's a better ball striker, and putters stand out on certain weeks. Matt Fitzpatrick beat Jordan Spieth in a playoff last year. Scotty Scheffler is listed to play despite win last week, impending birth of the child, all that sort of stuff.
What's it cost him to pull out? What's the fine for not playing?
Well,
is it $1 million?
Multiple millions apparently Rory got last year, but there's got to be like a personal leave type deal with having a child.
Yeah. You'd have to think he's got it out, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That's very good planning in advance.
Well, maybe he just said,
Listen, Meredith, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We'll do this now. The baby will be born around Masters Week, and I don't have to play the RBC.
He could just be, Labour, got to go.
Gotta go.
False
Beat the
alarm,
one
won't make it back, and ride it out for a while. 2 Aussies in Cam Davis, Jason Day, and then you've got the likes of Aubert, Morikawa, Schauffele, Spieth, Fleetwood, all the usual suspects. Now, at these events, the invites for these are always a point of interest. You've got Kevin Kisner, Shane Lowry, Webb Simpson, and Gary Woodland. Gary Woodland, good story. Brain operation last year to remove a lesion. Everyone likes Gary.
It's a true invitational where they're so excited to receive their invite that they post it on social media and say, look, I've got my invite.
Yeah. I think that horse might be dead. You could probably stop flogging it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's false invitationals.
Kisner,
Okay.
tour winner and all that sort of stuff, doing commentary stuff kind of makes sense. Shane Lowry's played well here. Shane Lowry's an important person. Webb Simpson on the policy board and has had a couple of those anyway.
Is that Scott in the field?
He is not.
And didn't get an invite either?
He did not. He might not have asked for one.
Maybe not.
So who's winning? Rod?
Well, let me scroll down to where I wrote it down.
I'll jump in and go with Ludwig.
Because I've just scrolled down to say, has to be Ludwig, no, question mark. Has to be Ludwig, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
he's going to be tired too, though.
But he's younger
So is
than
the rest of the field.
He's younger than the rest of them.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
There's an enormous high that comes
He's just
out
on
of
a
that.
wave.
It's just
He's riding the wave.
Yeah, and he's just really good.
Yeah. He's incredibly, naturally, comfortably good. There's nothing forced about it. Just a beautiful player.
Well, I'm Matt Fitzpatrick.
nice.
He's going to repeat, yeah. Big Fitzpatrick weekend for me, just quietly.
Okay.
I thought about the other one too.
Well, that's wow. Okay. Let's leave the US and go to the Asian Tour and the Saudi Open presented by the PIF. Logue, back to you. Probably a pretty straightforward sponsor watch, I'd suggest. And we probably won't get all the details of the Australians because there is 18 of them.
I listed them off, but I'm not going to read them all.
No.
The Saudi Open presented by PIF, or the Open de Saudi, as they call it in France.
Of course.
It's played at the Royal...
Open de Saud, would they?
Oh, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you say Saudi in French? I'll Google that while you're talking.
Actually, just while we're on that, the logo is very good for this.
Yeah.
In that, it's like a lot of golf tournament logos where they've just smooshed together the name of the tournament with the name of the sponsor. I always admire when they do that. But in this one, at least, they've sort of coordinated the fonts and the colours, and it actually comes together in a fairly coherent way. But I never realised, have you ever looked at the PIF logo?
I've seen it, yeah.
It's got crossed swords on it. Crossed swords and a palm tree.
It's contentious.
I found it quite confronting.
Yes, that's right.
That was my main takeaway for this whole event, really. Riyadh Golf Club is where it's held, and I couldn't find almost anything about this, but even whether it was a venue in past events.
They
have played something there
Didn't
before.
the women play at Riyadh?
Yeah, I think the women have played at Riyadh, when they played there.
I can't tell you who designed it. I honestly researched this. I couldn't find who designed it. I don't know. It's managed by Golf Saudi, and I looked at a lot of photos of it, and it looks like a very generic desert course, very sparse. It's got that soulless sort of look that these desert courses, particularly in Saudi, have, that they look like they're permanently under construction. And so, pretty uninspiring stuff. And I don't think we'll see any crowds as well.
Perhaps following Prince Khalid Saad Al Fazza.
So, notables in the field. The defending champion, by the way, is Denwit Burabunsub.
Young player.
Burabunsub.
You shoot 64
You
or
are
something
not
last year.
getting any better.
No,
Let's
you're
move
not.
along.
Let's just go with Denwit.
Burabunsub. Some notable players in the field: Peter Uline, David Puig, Andy Ogletree, Henrik Stenson's playing, and Prince Khalid Saud Al Faisal. Playing as an amateur. The Prince is playing.
Yep.
So
a Prince.
I was going to say, I don't think it's uncommon to be a Prince.
It's not MBF,
Saudi
but
Arabia.
a Prince and several other amateur surprise entrants are playing. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. The field is actually not great.
No, it's actually for one of these Asian. The Australians have got a very strong contingent. As
There's a huge contingent of Australians,
18,
led by
including
Daniel Gale, I would say.
Travis Smythe and Wade Ormsby's and all these kind
Kevin
of guys.
Yuan, journeyman.
Yeah, he's
Kevin Yuan.
done a couple of good rounds this year.
But
actually.
it is outside of that. It's not necessarily a lot of the Asian Tour guys have necessarily gone. Obviously, the live top guys that played the Masters aren't going, and not many others either. So it's not quite the field they would have hoped for, I imagine.
So my pick is Daniel Gale Burabunsub. Daniel Gale.
Right.
I'm going to go with Henrik. I think was he runner-up last year?
Yep.
Henrik Stenson?
Yep.
I mean,
He's played trash, though.
he has, but he's clearly a cut above the rest of this field. And at some point,
Just seems like he's completely checked out of international golf. I don't know.
Okay.
Just the fact he was runner-up last year, you got to pick some
question
question. So why not Henrik?
I'm going with Trav Smythe. He's got the good karma boost. He's put his name on a tournament with Ewan Porter's
has he?
Next Gen Amateur
good on
Tour.
him. Well done.
So it's good karma. He's going to take a kid over to an Asian Tour event later in the year who wins. So good karma for Trav.
Good player too.
That event does get started on Wednesday for everyone playing at home. So just an FYI
Is that,
on that.
it's something to do with the Sunday, is it not? The week in the Middle East or in Middle Eastern countries is Sunday to Fridays. What is it? Sunday is not what it's Sunday here. Saturday is our Sunday.
Saturday, yeah, correct.
Yeah, so
that's
things finish on Saturday instead of Sunday.
Yeah. Finally, not only is the PGA doing a signature event, they have a secondary event as well. Dominican Republic, Corales Puntacana Championship. Rod Murray, big fan of Corales Puntacana Resort.
Big fan of Corales Puntacana Resort, but I've just got to correct you there, Jimmy. They're no longer opposite field events. They're additional events.
I said secondary.
Secondary, so it's an additional event. So just try to keep that in mind. It's important that we get this right. It's in the Dominican Republic. Sponsor watch. There are 13 main sponsors, including the resort itself and the Punta Cana Airport, which is lovely to have them on board, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 main sponsors, the Dominican Tourist Board and the local bank, 24 just sponsors and 26 collaborator sponsors. How would you like to be in charge of sponsorship of the Punta Cana Corales?
I would, because I reckon you're on a commission basis and you're killing it.
There'd be a lot of lunches during the year, wouldn't there, to discuss what's coming up.
Maybe that's why they have the additional events.
Yeah, staggered to see the list. This one, these are additional events. In some ways are more competitive than the main tour.
Absolutely.
The level of golf isn't quite as high, but the stakes are much higher for those who are playing in it. So you get some good stories in this stuff. Been a PGA Tour event since 2018, did a couple of years on the secondary tour. Prior to that, it's a Tom Fazio in a spectacular setting. The aesthetics dramatic. The course itself, some spectacular settings for holes. Nothing architecturally that really is amazing to my eye. It's wide. It has to be because of the wind. It can really blow through there. And there are some really spectacular oceanside holes. What I like about it the most, it's that real dark green, stark white sand, stark green Bermuda, stark white sand. It's what you'd expect to see.
Love it.
Yeah, but a lot of short grass around the greens, which is good. It's Bermuda, so that makes it tricky for chipping and pitching and those sorts of things. But it does make for more interesting golf than the hack out sort of rough around the green. So look, it'll be an interesting tournament. Or golf tournaments by their nature always are, aren't they? 17 and 18 is kind of the spectacular finish. They both run along the ocean. 17's a par 3, which has got to carry a little inlet where you can see the waves crashing in, and then 18 kind of bends hard around the ocean. Matt Wallace is the defending champion. Harrison Endicott, the only Australian in the field. 2 unexpected names, Francesco Molinari and Jimmy Walker.
I saw Jimmy Walker in the list.
Is there some kind of sponsorship thing? Why would Jimmy Walker different, but why would Francesco Molinari tee up in an additional event on the PGA Tour?
Because his status is not that good.
I know his status isn't that good, but by the same token, he could surely get not invites into signature events. I'm surprised to see him playing an opposite field event.
Well, he's moved his family to America. He's obviously planning on playing there, so he needs to make FedEx Cup points to get up the rankings and then get into signature events next year.
This is
next question.
It's just actually got to play pickings for a player of Molinari standing as well. That's not a bad idea. Nikolai Højgaard listed in the field.
There you go.
Which seems surprising. So would he? I mean, clearly doesn't get entry into a signature event from finishing well at the Masters or playing well at the Masters. So he'll be interesting to watch. In fact, I'll probably go with him.
Okay,
Nikolai will be my tip. You've always, if there's a Højgaard in the field, someone's got to tip them, and it's usually me. So let's go with that.
Fair enough.
It is usually you.
Low.
Big Fitzpatrick week, as I said. Alex Fitzpatrick.
I was tempted by Alex.
Is my pick. This field, though, anyone could win this.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
They're all super talented and all on the verge of breaking through. And then you've got some experienced players who are very good as well. But yeah, Alex Fitzpatrick.
Not anyone can win because Daniel Berger's going to win.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So that's my tip. So take that. That's all for us this week. Rod, another rock solid performance, and we're recording post school. So just checking you ate all your lunch today.
I did eat it in the car on the way back here. I had to leave school early. I had our last major delivery today, which was wasn't great.
Little Roddy's
graduating.
He's almost big Roddy.
He's almost big Roddy.
Almost big Roddy now. I'll be getting a certificate with my name on it at some point. Hopefully, that's not guaranteed. So let's not get ahead of it.
Okay, Logue, I expect you now will just tip winners for the rest of the year for fun.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't you just do your tips for the rest of the year now and You don't have to come in.
Well, you probably can for the majors. Just pick the favourite now. Follow along with all these tournaments and much, much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au, and get out and pick up your copy of the May issue of the magazine now with Lucas Herbert on the cover. He talks about his move to Live Golf. There's a PGA Championship preview that is at Valhalla this year. There's tips to increase your power. There's a Rory golf swing look. Golf in Canberra gets a little bit of a run. Plenty more as well. Thank you for listening to episode 59, and we'll be back next week on Playing from the Tips.